Hi everyone, this is Dan, and just making a quick video today to just go over a couple of different thoughts I've had lately, watching some YouTube content on cards, and just to show a couple of recent pickups. First thing I want to show is, and this is sort of more just talking about if everyone has the Ultra Pro One Touch, those things are awesome. Take a shiny card, put them in there, and I'm not sure what type of wizardry they've put into those things, but they make those cards shiny. So he's got a couple of, pretty inexpensive Peyton Manning rookies. They're shiny. You put them in there, they look even shinier. Not certainly not a paid sponsor. I just think they're really neat. And you wonder why the card grading companies, like if they could use whatever the One Touch material is, if they could use that for the graded cards, the slabs, that'd be pretty neat. So cool looking cards. If you have a shiny card, put them in there, you'll like it. Looks better than a slab, I think. Next thing, heard people talking about how the quality of cards, and granted the cards are more expensive, are not good. There's a lot of flaws in them and stuff. And remind me of back in, I started collecting, I was a little born in 72, so 79 I was a little kid. 79 is buying some cards, 80 was buying some cards, and in 81, some of the viewers probably remember, Flair and Donruss came out. And Donruss's cards were so off cut, and I remember the sides would have it almost looked like, you remember back in school where they had those big paper cutters, they had these completely frayed sides. And at the time, we thought Donruss was actually a bunch of kids made cards. So we're kind of jealous. We grew up in Rhode Island, and we're always like, oh, Massachusetts always seemed like a bigger state, was a bigger state. So we're like, oh, probably kids from Boston started Donruss. I don't know who came up with that, but for some reason we were thinking for a while that Donruss cards were so bad that we thought children were making them, and we're like, hey, if they can make cards, we can probably make cards too. We never actually did it, but I think we were also inspired by I think the Silver Spoons TV show was on back then. I was a little kid. It was Ricky Schroeder had his owner, his dad had a toy company or something like that. But Donruss obviously not run by children, but the cards were so bad we thought they were. So certainly, cards are in better condition than now. Next card. This is one of those players that, be curious if anyone has any stories of players that you thought were much better than they actually were. And no disrespect to Darryl Dawkins, he's a pro athlete. Massive respect for anyone that became a pro athlete. But relative to other players, had anyone that remembers him, he had the nickname Dr. Dunkenstein, and my brother would always say, Dr. Dunkenstein off the top rope. Obviously, that was Jimmy's Superfly Snooker. Was sort of mixing metaphors there. So I saw this, and I picked it up. I was telling my brother about it. Then we're looking up the statistics, and we're like, Darryl Dawkins wasn't quite as good as we thought. So it's kind of funny to think back of the card. Obviously, there's lots of players. I remember liking Willie McGee and Vince Coleman, and even guys like Mattingly and Strawberry and stuff like that weren't Hall of Famers. But there's some players that the power of their nickname is huge, and Darryl Dawkins, Dr. Dunkenstein, an amazing nickname. He never jumped off the top rope. I think he did shatter some backboards, and I think that's why we liked him. Next up, a couple cards that I'm picking up. Machado auto rookies. This one also. I think these are just really neat looking cards, and I really like Machado. I think of all I kind of grouped together, Trout and Betts and Arenado and who else, Machado. There's probably a couple people I'm not thinking about there. Maybe Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman, guys that are on a pretty good path to the Hall of Fame. These aren't guys 3 to 5 years in. These are guys 10, 11 years in. A lot of them. Bryce Harper's one of them. Harper gets me a little nervous, so I know a lot of people say he's undervalued, but he's not no fault of his own, but he's gotten hurt a lot, even though he has those 2 MVPs. But anyways, Machado I always think is severely undervalued. Seems like no one really likes Machado as a person, but he's been a consistent player, and I think compared to all those guys, he will age the best. So just a player that I like to collect, and you can get his auto rookies really inexpensive. So I normally don't have that many autographs, but I got this one in particular I really liked. I thought it was neat. And normally his Bowman Chrome is this is not the Bowman Chrome auto. This is actually the Bowman Chrome. That thing just had someone just got it autographed, and this was really inexpensive. Got this on the PWCC auction a couple months ago. It was 50 bucks. So 50 bucks for a autographed rookie, first Bowman Chrome rookie auto of someone that seems to be on the Hall of Fame path. At least for me, seemed like a pretty good deal. A couple other recent pickups, and this is something I'm going to probably do a future video on. Kind of curious about what people think of. First of all, I really like Peyton Manning. It was kind of him and Brady were competing, and Brady's been around a lot longer now, and Brady's considered the GOAT and Peyton's not. But just really like Peyton. And those cards are like this card was 20 bucks all in. Granted, it's not a PSA 10, it's PSA 9, but it's a rookie. It's a cool looking card, has a nice little glitter there. This leaf card I think is really nice and clean. It was about the same. Be curious to think or get some people's thoughts on like being a completionist in a sense, as far as looking at all the rookies. So this came about, I saw someone, there's actually a neat video if you search for like Tom Brady rookie collection or something like that. And there's a guy like 10, 11 years ago that was actually collecting all the Tom Brady rookies before they exploded in value, and he did actually complete it. So I'm trying to do potentially the same thing from Manning, and I think he has like 43 rookies. I'm at maybe like 38, 39, but at a certain point, start thinking like, I don't know if I really need to do this. Like, am I just getting all four? If I didn't see this one web page brought up by Beckett, I wouldn't even be doing that. So I don't know, something I'm kind of thinking like, do I really want to complete this? A couple of the ones I don't have, there's one that's super expensive, the SPX, and so yeah, just curious on people's thoughts. Obviously, this applies more to modern players, not really the vintage stuff, because they only had like one rookie. Another player we sort of neat as collected Peyton. It was neat to say like, okay, well, Randy Moss was from that same era. And when you see some of these cards, I mean, these are like, this wasn't actually the junk wax era. I mean, these were, yeah, they had a lot of rookie cards, but these are still like, probably like a couple bucks only each. Some shine, gold. So I've just been picking up, like, it's been fun as I picked up, like I had a lot of Manning cards. I had a few of these Moss rookies from a while back, picking up a few more, and that you can get, rookie cards of, sometimes people would debate Moss versus Jerry Rice. I think it's pretty much assumed that Rice is the best, but Moss is, by many estimations, kind of the second best wide receiver ever. That one too, the Chrome. And like, these are super cheap. Like, again, the rookies are like, you get them raw, even the same thing with Peyton Manning, they're like $2 to $7. And some are even in less than that. You can get sometimes lots for less than that. So that's sort of, it's fun to be able to collect like that. And with cards being so expensive now, someone like Mahomes, you can't get really any of his rookies for, he's a current player, and they're just super expensive generally. So there's something nice to be said about, I wouldn't say the junk wax era, just when cards were actually less expensive, or packs were less expensive. Continuing with that, just looking at a couple of Barry Bonds cards. Again, these are also cards that are not, these are certainly not super valuable. I mean, these three cards put together are probably less than $100. Actually, they're probably like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 bucks a pop. These are all PSA 9s. I think for me, they look, to me, they certainly look good. I can't tell the difference between 9s and 10s. Actually, I really like the Flair. Flair tend to be generally my favorite cards. And this card, it's sort of strange. If you were to think of things like a restaurant, like, no one when they eat it at a restaurant wouldn't say like, well, I like it, but everyone else can eat here, so I don't like it. Or it's like it's less valuable. And not being naive, certainly recognize that there's a value component to cards, and these I know are like junk wax, so there's overproduction, and then the pop counts are high and things like that. But it's still great to that we can actually have cards of the best. It's up for debate, but arguably the greatest baseball player ever. You can get his rookie card for like, I don't know, $3 raw. I think there's something really awesome about that, and I truly really appreciate that I can actually have cards of Bonds. And it's also interesting because this is actually like quite a conversation piece. If you ask someone about like Trout, or some people know who Griffey is, and like Hank Aaron for older stuff, but granted, many of their cards are Aaron, and you start getting past to Aaron Mays, Mantle, is way too expensive, is price prohibitive, but here's a card that like virtually any person can afford. So if you're to talk about like, you know, okay, I'd like a card of the greatest baseball player ever, their rookie card, you can do it. Like you can actually have that, and you can't have that really for the typical person's not going to drop, say for basketball, right? They're not going to drop thousands of dollars to get a version of a Jordan. This is actually the same year, right? Flair, 86, one's Bonds, one's Jordan, and it's actually kind of a conversation piece, right? People say, oh, that's a guy that took steroids, and at the same time, you know, there's conversation about, oh, that was actually when, you know, mass production of cards happened because of that. No, what's grading, and you know, he's not in the Hall of Fame. I think it's just such an amazing card that I feel really fortunate to have, and at such a low price. It's actually neat to have something like that, and you wish that kids would have cards like that, or anyone that's interested in card collecting. This would be certainly one of the first cards I would ever recommend to get, because it's baseball, and baseball is sort of been the king of cards historically, and you can get one of the best. And that's about it. Yeah, just wanted to throw some cards out there, and yeah, have a good day, everyone. That's it. Bye-bye.